Man, help me out, chat.
Hard Rock.
The place where you can't understand their accent.
Hard Rock.
Faux, faux. And I was like, oh, fork. Well, I say all the letters.
Hard Rock.
One person in Cleveland that's listening.
Hard Rock.
The ACLU, if you don't know, is the American Civil Liberties Union. And their job, basically, is to uphold the values in the Constitution.
Hard Rock.
Dude, when you get trolled and owned by an 80-year-old dude on your own network.
Hard Rock.
Then you just go on, I'madouche.com and buy yourself a ticket over to Tajikistan.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox and a new edition of the Top 20. My name is DJ. I'll be your host for the next couple of hours. I know, shockers all around. Hopefully we're transmitting. Looks kind of good. Looks like it's possible. Looks like it's possible we're transmitting, but honestly, who knows these days? Could be completely possible that we're not transmitting. Maybe we're transmitting to a completely other place. Maybe we're transmitting into the fifth dimension. Maybe we're transmitting into Bikini Bottom, or even worse, I don't know, what's the name of the place? It's not the Goo Lagoon. What's the, man, help me out, chat. The place where you can't understand their accent. Nothing? No one? Anyone? It's all right. It's an interactive show, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a live show. We're doing a thing. Doing a live show. Always doing a live show here on the Hard Rock Lunchbox. I find it makes it way more interesting. Also makes it way more easier because you don't have to really edit anything in post. I do still have to edit the top 20, which I got to be honest, kind of annoying, but at least it gets done. I do like doing the bumpers in the beginning. If you ever want to watch the top 20 and just watch less than a minute, just watch the first minute or just less than the first minute. Because my favorite part of the whole thing is the out of context bumpers in the beginning, or promos, or I don't even know what you call them. It's my sizzle reel. My sizzle reel. Rock bottom. Thank you, chat. Yeah, rock bottom, where you can't understand the people's accent. Now, I will say, the last time I was in Louisiana, I forget where we stopped. I want to say it was a Hardee's. Might have been a Hardee's. And I made a mistake. I got either got a baked potato or a salad. But I got something that required a fork. And the reason I remembered that it required a fork is I had to go back to the counter to ask for a fork. And I said, hey, can I get a fork? And the woman behind the counter, very nice, elderly black lady, was like, oh, you need a fork? And I said, I'm sorry, what? I need a fork. Didn't quite catch that. A fork, fork. And I was like, oh, fork. Well, I say all the letters here in the north. But I would have had an easier time understanding her accent from Rock Bottom than I did from Louisiana, just outside New Orleans. Nolans. Although Nolans explains a lot, because it's actually New Orleans, is if you spell it out. Nolans. I guess that makes a lot of sense. But I'm not here to pick on Louisiana. I never did pick on the let's say, mentally diminished of us, unless they're asking for it, in which case all bets are off. And speaking of mentally diminished and asking for it, we're going to talk about Ron Desantis' jump into the presidential race a little bit later. I did print out something. Why don't we just go ahead and get on to some lighthouse people. So the top 20, new one is out today. I talked about the grief of life in the new episode of the top 20. Please check that out. Give it a like. Feel free to give it a comment. I will get to those comments eventually. I've had a very, very tough couple of weeks dealing with some medical stuff. I am half past some of that. Not like 2:30 is half past 2, but I'm past a good amount of it so far. For at least the time being, it'll get me out into the summer at least. So that's That's nice. Yay me. So yeah, feel free to check that out. We talk about all the nonsense that's going on in North Carolina. Bacon is My Podcast is still on Strangerhood TV. They had an announcement yesterday. I didn't get to watch anything, but I did see their incessant level of posting about hitting the 5% of the global podcast. I got to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea what that means. And I will ask whichever one of them, Mike or Jimmy, I see first to explain like how statistics. I subscribe to some statistics for the box and for the top 20. I basically just read whatever Chartable sends me every week. Although that's a lie. I just lied right to you, and I'm sorry. I don't read any of that shit. Usually when I see an email come in from Chartable, I delete it right away. But I have looked at it in the past just to see how the top 20 does, and it seems to do all right. It's only really interesting to me when it's like trending in Slovakia or Slovenia or any of those countries, because I'm just fascinated. Like, I understand why Rebel 9 does really well in Sweden from time to time, because we release a heavier song. Sweden tends to be a heavier market, so I always find that kind of interesting. Like, I am only curious about the stats because every now and again, like when we get like Apple stats, sometimes it breaks them down by city, and you'll have like one person in Cleveland that's listening, and it's just like, just want to be like, hey man, thanks. Like, or woman, I don't know. We tend to trend older, but we kind of split men and women, so I guess that's whatever. Anyway, there's discussions and drinks. They're doing more guitar and vocal ideas tonight on the Twitch. And tomorrow is Steve Pisani from Michael Kelly Guitars. So check that out. Bacon is My Podcast and all the other nonsense on Strangerhood TV. I do want to kind of get this Desantis thing out of the way. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't really care. But I do have one interesting thing to make, and I don't even remember where the hell I heard it from. But it was interesting because it was a nice comparison of not politics, but of sort of social demographics. And I thought it was interesting. But The Nation, I love The Nation. Like, seriously, The Nation is some of the best reporting out there by like a lot. The Nation and like Mother Jones, and I read a lot of Vox too. Vox is good. Vox is probably my favorite because it's kind of all over the place, and it's just story specific, not necessarily politically specific, which I like. But The Nation is great because the title of the goddamn article. I mean, I don't know if you can see that. Failure to launch the Desantis debacle. Like, if I've ever heard a slogan more befitting DeSantis, I've forgotten it, because that dude is just train wreck after train wreck after train wreck. And it's funny because I can't really understand like why he's still got so much appeal until you start listening to the people to whom he appeals. Like they were talking to some people outside of like kind of Disney in Florida, and they were just saying like how very pro DeSantis they are. They tend to be older and they tend to be more Republican, and they are so unbelievably biased because of the information that they're getting and refuse to listen to anything else. And every single one of them keeps using the term woke like it's actually a bad thing. Like, first of all, if the Republicans can stop talking about things that are woke and the woke-minded virus, like, we've covered this. Like, being aware that there's systemic problems in the government and doing what you can to fix it is not a problem. It's called democracy. It's called active democracy, and that's actually what people do and should be doing. Like, that's an important thing. Like, basically, if you're not woke, like, what are you? Like, you're probably the problem. Like, I think it was the movie American President? I forget exactly what it was. But Michael Douglas was the president. His wife had died. He was a widower, and he was dating Annette Bening, who was like a lobbyist or whatever. And anyway, it was a really good movie. I liked it. But there was one part of it where the opponent was attacking Michael Douglas's character for being for being a card-carrying member of the ACLU. Now, I have some recent issues with the ACLU, but like, I'm a card-carrying member of the ACLU. The ACLU, if you don't know, is the American Civil Liberties Union. And their job basically is to uphold the values in the Constitution. And they file suits against governments, like our government, state, federal, and local, whenever those rights get infringed, right? That their sole purpose is actually to protect our inherent rights here in this country. That's what the ACLU does. And there's a point where this dude is attacking the Michael Douglas character for it. And Michael Douglas finally goes on TV and, like, basically, you know, chastises him for it. Like, yeah, so I'm a card-carrying member of the ACLU. The bigger question is, why aren't you? like, why aren't you? There should be nobody in this country that should be, like, anti the ACLU unless, of course, you're trying to do stuff that's illegal or oppressing other people and all that other stuff. So if you're that anti-woke, like, honestly, dude, you're the problem, because there are systemic issues on all sides. Like, I'm not just saying, like, it's oppressing, you know, people of color or different genders. Like, it's oppressing, you know, you have people that are oppressing other people sociogeographically because they live in, like, West Virginia, right? Like, West Virginia is an inherently depressed place. We don't put a lot of money into it. Like, that's kind of systemically a problem. You know what I mean? Like, so there are those sort of issues. But anyway, Desantis is just, like, the bigger, like, just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And the simple fact that he's teamed up with Elon Musk, who I find just laughable as a human being. Like, he is such an asshole. And honestly, people that support him, like, I just think less and less of those people, because this dude is such a megalomaniac. Like, and these, like, you're just transferring, like, you love Trump, now you love Elon Musk. Like, Elon Musk isn't here to save anybody. Like, he's in it for himself. He's always been in it for himself. And honestly, in business, he's been a bit of a douche. Like, he has a collective, like, reputation as somebody that ruins things. Like, he does it all the time. Like, I don't know what you know about Teslas, but Teslas are actually having a huge problem right now, because despite the high visibility, which Elon Musk is good at, and also the other comparison in terms of branding, Trump was also really good at, but if there's no substance there, then it becomes a problem. I just found out recently that Tesla resale value is dog shit, which I had no idea. It's garbage, like below Jeeps, which is like Jeeps are known for basically just falling apart, and Tesla resale value is actually less than that, which to me is just bananas. Like, so he's ruined, like, another company, like SpaceX. He just blew up another couple of rockets, and now he bought Twitter, and he just got in the bed with Desantis, probably because they like looking at each other, maybe stroking each other's cock. I don't know for sure, but I'm allowed to say that because I'm protected by the First Amendment. But he goes on to have this big, giant announcement about him entering the race, which, by the way, nice secret, dude. He goes on Twitter to have this big, giant announcement, and what happens? Doesn't work. 20 minutes of technical errors. Elon Musk, tech wizard. 20 minutes of technical errors. So many people just dropped off because it wasn't really worth it. And now you enter the presidential race, your first thing that you're known for is the fact that you are a laughing stock. Great job. Great job. I was going to read some of this article, but honestly, the funniest thing I saw in it was an actual tweet, because one of the problems they were having is that the links weren't even working in these Twitter spaces. Which, by the way, I would never enter a Twitter space. Hard pass. Thank you very little. But a lot of the links weren't working. So, I mean, obviously, it's not Joe Biden, because I can't imagine, you know, this 800-year-old man, like, tweeting, but, like, whoever was on his team, they sent a, you know, Biden-Harris 2024, and the post was actually like, well, this link works, and I was like, nice. I still think it's funny. Like, dude, when you get trolled and owned by an 80-year-old dude on your own network, like, dude, your own platform. Douche, 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 douche. I hate Elon Musk. I hate Ron DeSantis, too. Like, seriously, all this stuff that's going on with Disney. Now, Disney has pulled out of its, like, $1 billion thing to build in, like, Nona Lake. And DeSantis' spokesman came out and was like, we haven't heard anything about it. You know, they said they were going to do it, but we haven't seen any paperwork. So Disney immediately presented all the paperwork and all the forms they filed to get this approved. And it's like, dude, you're such a liar. Like, that's what you do. Like, Ron DeSantis lies all the time, because that's what Republicans do these days. They lie, they cheat, and they steal, and they oppress, and they do all this stuff. Do you know the Texas legislature just passed a bill? It's still got to get signed, which I'm sure will happen. Just passed a bill to force that all public schools have the 10 Commandments displayed. Like, dude, do you even know what this country is about? And they're like, well, why does it say in God we trust on money? I was like, yeah, that was more for the dumb folk, and it's nice to see that the dumb folk are still, like, around and we need to do this. But you can't put the 10 Commandments into a public building. You can't obligate it. You cannot. It's a separation of church and state, which is exactly what they have. And if you think that you're allowed to do it because I should be able to celebrate it, like, yeah, man, I know the 10 Commandments. That's my religion. But there's a lot of people here whose religion that isn't. And you can't do that. You can't force that upon them. That's actually a form of persecution. Like, you're just not allowed to do it. And if you want to do that, just head on over to one of the countries that lets you do it. Like, super simple, man. Then you just go on, like, I'mADouche.com and buy yourself a ticket over to Tajikistan, or I don't want to offend any Tajiks that are listening, but, like, go over there. Like, seriously, like, these people are just such assholes. Like, oh my God, we can't have Muslims here because we're a Christian country. Like, no, we're not. I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of them, but, like, that's the way this works. Like, people are so proud. Like, yes, we have, religious tolerance here. Like, yeah, yes, we do. And that's what we're supposed to have. So stop with your 10 Commandments. Stop with your Bibles. Stop with all your nonsense. It does not have a place in publicly funded school. And if you think I'm a heathen, you're just an idiot and you're a moron. And that's okay. Like, we're allowed to have morons. Remember when we talked about the bell curve? Like, okay, right, that's cool, right? Like, I'm on the smart side, so we have to have somebody that's also on the dumb side to balance that out. If you're disagreeing with what I'm saying, guess what side you're on. I have had such a hard couple of weeks. I have to tell you, man, I am just so goddamn burned out. It is just ridiculous. And that is actually what I came to talk about here on the Top 20, but I'm already burned out, and I've already spent too much time. It's like already like 18 minutes after 12. Like, just the sheer volume of stuff that I can't seem to get to anymore. Like, I've been taking a beating medically, like, really badly. Like, just I've had medical problem after medical problem after medical problem. And the added aggravation on all of those is that a lot of them are very simple fixes, right? Or, straight line sort of fixes. But you can't do that anymore. You can't just go get fixed because you have to do all this stuff. Like, I just had a procedure done on Monday, and I actually had to take the whole day off, and, like, it was a big deal. And I'm recovering from it, thank you. But in order to do that, like, I had to go get a pre-op evaluation from my main doctor. I had to go back because their EKG leads weren't working and have another appointment. I had to go get my own x-ray and bring a copy of that just in case the company that was doing the x-rays didn't send it electronically over. Like, and the scheduling like, they're changing the schedules on me. Like, I have everything worked out. Like, took the day off work. Like, 3 days earlier, they're trying to change the schedule. The day of, they actually called to change the schedule to see if I could come in earlier. Now, I did, so that was fine. But, like, that's when, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm just trying to get through my goddamn day, man. Like, and everybody that, like, isn't me is just literally making it worse or making it harder. Like, there's no assists anymore. Like, they're talking about, like, is Kylie Irving gonna sign with the team that LeBron James is on because they just work really well together? Like, I think they should make that a goddamn law, because if you find two people that can work together that well, like, they should be forced to be on the same team, in my opinion. Like, I just need some medical help like that. Like, I actually went to my doctor because I have a pinched nerve in my neck. I did some real damage to my upper left trapezius muscle 6 or 7 weeks ago, like, really, really bad. And I went to a chiropractor, and they took x-rays of it. And what they found is that the muscle had pulled so badly because the knots in it were so bad that it yanked down my C7 vertebrae, which is right there. And it is the vertebrae which is just above the arteries and the nerve bundle that goes to my hand. So I was shooting pain, complete numbness, everything. So I went. So I saw that on the x-ray, right? Like, and I went I tried to get an MRI. My insurance company said no, because my chiropractor isn't actually covered under my insurance. Why that is, I have no idea. It's really definitely part of the same kind of game I get to play with insurance all the time, but, like, that's fine. So I called them up. I was like, whatever game I need to play, just let me know what it is so I can kind of get this going, because I need this MRI, because we treated it for a few weeks. it didn't get better, or it got marginally better and then plateaued. So the thinking is it's some sort of disc herniation, and it could be complete and it could be obliterated, or it could be just, herniated and could be healing. It could be some other intrusion. I could have a bone spur. I could have lots of other things that are going on. Actually, a bone spur they would have seen on the x-ray. Lots of other things. But an MRI, like after you get an x-ray and you see what's going on physically, MRI is what shows you your soft tissue. Like, it's the next step. I'm not asking for a CAT scan or a PET scan or anything like that. I'm not even looking for time on the James Webb telescope. I just want a simple MRI, because that's what tells me if the disc in my neck is herniated, which gives my chiropractor the ability to know what he can and cannot do. So they turn him down, and I call the insurance company. They're like, no, you have to go to your primary care. They actually don't even know what they can do. So I'm like, well, who do I go to? And they're like, well, you can start at your primary care. And I was like, all right, fine. So I go to my primary care doctor. She tells me that's not what it is. It's not a pinched nerve. She tells me it's carpal tunnel. And I'm like, dude, first of all, the chances of me having carpal tunnel in one hand and not the other, and it being my less dominant hand, is really ridiculous. Like, really, really unlikely anyway. Totally possible, but it's really unlikely. The fact that I started to have the pain on the very day that I pulled the trapezius muscle and had all the problems with the nerves and stuff like that, virtually impossible. Like, there is no amount of money that I could win on Lotto to describe just how impossible that particular shit lottery would be. And yet, she's insisting on that. So she will not give me an MRI until I go for 6 weeks of physical therapy, which, if she's sending me for carpal tunnel on physical therapy, makes me nervous, because they're not going to give a shit about the possibly or potentially herniated disc that could get worse if I do stuff that aggravates it and continues to herniate that disc before it heals. And so I don't know what to do. So now I have to, I guess, go to another doctor and get a second opinion on something. And all I really want is just to see if I herniated my disc, and I can't seem to get it. I have been in pain every minute of every day for over 6 weeks, and nobody gives a shit but me. Nobody. That sucks. And that's the game I'm currently playing. And I came in here and I wanted to talk about why Rebel 9's not doing a lot of shows, why it's taken so long for us to release new material, and a lot of it just comes down to the sheer volume of work I have to do. In terms of the shows, like, I was just going through it, just seeing, like, no bands are offering us shows anymore. Like, I keep offering other bands shows, but like since 2019, we've gotten a show with Something Heavy, one with Craving Strange, and one with the Neon Skyline. Like, I'm grateful for those and those bands, but the reality is, like, nobody else. And it was weird, because I was wondering. I wanted to go back and just see, like, when was the last time a band asked us to plan a show with them? That's it. 2019, a couple last year, nothing this year, nothing coming up this year. So, I don't know, man. I don't know why that came up. I don't know why I was thinking about it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. So I actually printed out some stuff on it. But it's like, these are reasons, like, you're not seeing Rebel 9 shows. These are reasons why you're not hearing more Rebel 9 music coming at you faster. It's A, I cannot get it done, and B, I cannot keep doing it all by myself. It's too much. And I'm here telling you, I feel like I've been saying it for months and years. I'm here telling you, like, absolutely, it is too much for me to do by myself. I can't do it anymore. And it's, that's the reason. And not that I'll ever be as great as the great Tina Turner, who passed away last night or the day before at the ripe old age of 83, by the way, as she was fighting with kidney disease and high blood pressure and stuff. And I tweeted something fairly recently about, had she known, about how much damage she was doing to her body with the high blood pressure and the kidneys. Kidney damage, she definitely would have done more sooner. And it's funny, not funny, haha, but funny, because that's the kind of shit I am desperately trying to avoid, and I keep running into wall after wall after wall, trying to, like, get a handle on my health. And yet, here I am. And I have yet to create anything as wonderful as that woman did musically, but, I still got a few more years left in me. However, I will say it's one of the most difficult things I ever have to do, trying to pick one song to explain just how great one performer was. So I literally just wrote a couple down, and I was like, this is the one I want to hear the most. So I figured we'd start with a little bit of a tribute, just because Tina Turner was fucking awesome.